Dr. Ramadevi Pani is the editor of University News, a weekly journal of higher education brought out by the Association of Indian Universities. She is one of the internationally popular Indian women editors in the field of higher education. She has to her credit more than 150 special volumes on different vital themes of higher education, apart from many scholarly articles, editorials, reviews, and books. She is the founder editor of DAE newsletter brought out by Ministry of Education. May I request Dr. Ramadevi Madam to please start the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. I'm audible and visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. Dr. N. Sharad Chandra Babu, Professor Mangal Sundar Krishnan, Dr. Shashi Kumar, Dr. M. Kumar. I'm very thankful to you all for providing me this opportunity to speak in this August gathering on preparedness of Indian universities for online education during pandemic and beyond. So before going on to present on this particular topic, I want to justify why I am here. I belong to Association of Indian Universities, as was introduced by Mr. Dr. M. Kumar. Association of Indian Universities was established in 1925 in the British regime for two important reasons. One is to provide equivalence of degrees. During that time also, the students from India used to go to other countries and take degrees from there. And when they came back to Indian universities, the universities had no clue to which course they should be admitted. So that was one problem. Another one was the universities were located far and wide. One was in Bombay, one was in Madras, one was in Calcutta. So in 1925, the then Viceroy Lord Reading called the meeting of Vice Chancellors and established this organization. At that time, it was called as Inter-University Board of Education. Now it is Association of Indian Universities. It was rechristened in 1973 as AIU. This is apex body of higher education in the country, and it's a flagship body. And the main purpose of it is to support the universities whenever they are in crisis. That's how, like, AIU played a very, very important role during this pandemic in supporting the universities, boosting their morale, and did so many things during the pandemic. Dr. Kumar, can you move the slide on, please? Yeah. So I'll start with a quote. The old order changes, yielding place to new, and God fulfills himself in many ways, lest one good custom should corrupt the world. So the old order should change, otherwise we'll remain in chalk and talk with it, and will not have the experience of online learning. So the old order should change. The next slide, please. Yeah, I was telling about Association of Indian Universities. So this flagship body was given leadership by people like Dr. Radhakrishnan, Dr. Zakir Hussain, Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee, Dr. A.L. Madariar, and many. And at present, it works through divisions of equivalence, which gives the equivalence certificate. We have sports, which conducts inter-university sports, youth affairs, which conducts inter-university youth affairs. And then we have student information and various other divisions. Most importantly, we have a research wing. The research wing conducts policy research and provides input to the ministry to make policy decisions, or it conducts researches for the universities to provide the situation of higher education in the country, whichever they want. So, next slide, please. So the context of AIU here is we conducted a research on the preparedness of online learning in higher education along with CASPE, UK-based organization. So that's how the context of AIU comes in. And this is to support not only the universities or the ministry, but the information which I shall provide through my study will help you all maybe to uh, work on online learning in a better way. This is all the preliminary information about how the COVID-19, the pandemic, has attacked the higher education system, how it got affected. The students who were in, it started in the month of March, as we all know, and that's the most happening phase for Indian higher education system. The exams were just to begin, and the school students were waiting for their session to complete and take admission to universities. Those who were selected in campus placements were looking forward to take up new jobs, and such was the time when this COVID has attacked, and then everything got standstill all of a sudden one fine day when the lockdown was announced by Honorable Prime Minister of the country on 20th March 2020. Next slide, please. So the impact, as I told you, the impact was on whole world. 1.57 billion students, comprising 90.4% of total enrolled students in and around 185 countries across the globe got affected. As I told, admissions, student internship, placement, the revenue generation, particularly for private universities, employment, graduates faced with withdrawal of job offers from corporate sector. About 4.1 million Indians have lost jobs during this COVID time. Next slide, please. Yeah, as for QS Indian Students Mobility Report, COVID-19 had impacted on the decision of 48.46% students who aspire to study abroad. According to a report by Times Higher Education, in US alone, Indian students, which comprise of 18.4% of total enrollment, got affected. The top 5 countries which Indian students preferred as a destination for their studies are USA 30.27%, UK 15.84%, Germany 14.33%, Canada 9.8%, and Australia 6.75%. All this got affected, and of course, research got tremendously impacted. Yeah, next slide, please. Yes. Now, the initiatives taken by Indian universities. Since you are all in the picture, you must be knowing exactly the initiatives taken by the Indian universities. But as we all know, Indian higher education system is the third largest higher education system in the world. At present, it has 1,050 universities and around 50,000 colleges. And bringing such a voluminous system with diversity, so many diversities, geographically, economically, socially. To bring such a system into grips is a Herculean task. And to, as I told you, that was the time when the session was starting and many things were happening. And most importantly, important issue was to conserve the academic term of the student. Because if the exams are not conducted or if the term is not completed, those students who were in compelled isolation because of the COVID will suffer in the ways which I had already told. So the university started online classes through various digital platforms, and many emotional wellness support and awareness programs were initiated. MOOCs and other resources were activated. Admissions mobility was created by adopting AI-enabled processes. Yeah, next slide. New Swayamprabha DTH channels were launched to support and reach those who do not have access to internet. And the government has announced that top 100 universities of the country will be allowed to start online courses. They have started already, and the admission process is going on in those universities. And the platforms preferred by universities were Google Classroom, Google Forms, Padlet, Zoom, Pinnet, Open Platform, and so on and so forth. The repercussions. What happened after that? The private online e-platforms have reported escalated traffic on their website. The seller market was created in edtech space, and institutions hastily adopted various commercially available digital learning solutions, and many of them have landed in trouble. Indian edtech industry now is going at an exponential pace and has become the second biggest in the world. EdTech business in India is expected to touch $3.2 billion by 2022. And private equity and venture capital funding in EdTech industry in India have been on a significant rise with an approximately $1.5 billion, which is 4 times surge to that in 2019. So, because of the boom of this online classrooms and all, the EdTech space and EdTech market has. Next slide, please. So, in this scenario, Association of Indian Universities has also supported the universities in many ways. It has organized a webinar on online learning management system, fostering social responsibility in higher education, online assessments and examination, placement on students, preparing institutions for life beyond COVID-19, etc. Next slide. Yeah. Most importantly, what we did was we had conducted online faculty development program, a series of them to train the faculty for online teaching. Almost more than 3,000 faculty have been trained through our this faculty development. We conducted leadership talks, doctor series, where we invited doctors from WHO, AIMS, Medanta, and so many other popular hospitals and all to address the vice chancellor so that they can take ample measures in their universities to combat COVID-19. Then we brought out one monograph called Protecting Academic Interests of Students During Corona Pandemic, Sharing Best Practices. In fact, I brought out this. Immediately after the first lockdown, we wrote letters to all the vice chancellors about the status of online education in their country and how they are catering to conserve the academic year of the students in the field of teaching, evaluation, and placement. I received almost 200 response from more than 200 universities, and I have compiled a publication which can be like a future guide for universities in case if we again come across such type of situation. Then, most importantly, what is relevant for this particular seminar is we conducted a study on preparedness of Indian higher education institutions for online education. As I told already, this was conducted along with, in collaboration with CASPI, a UK-based organization which does conduct such type of studies in many countries across the globe. Next slide, please, Dr. Kumar. Yeah, I'll just briefly tell exactly how we conducted this study and what was the outcome. It was a survey. The survey data was analyzed by applying descriptive research methodology. The survey was conducted through a questionnaire designed specifically for the purpose. The questionnaire in its final form with 85 items was mailed to around 1,000 universities and 1,500 colleges. We did receive response from many of them, but I mean, those forms were incomplete and not proper to consider. So what we did was we considered 366 forms of them, among which 155 were from universities and 211 were from college. Out of 155 responded, 77 were from public sector and 78 from private sector. We actually ensured that we take almost equal number of universities for our study from both the sectors. The participation rate was highest from institutions with enrollment from 2,000 to 10,000, both in public and private sector. Next slide, please. Yeah, the major findings: infrastructure in terms of smart classroom, devices, network, and bandwidth. More than half of the universities, both government and private, are not fully equipped with smart classrooms, and more than half of the universities do not have projects. More than 65% of universities work in less than 1 Gbps bandwidth of internet connection, in which 22.4% are facing narrow bandwidth. University automation in terms of admissions, administration, finance, and examination. In that area, only 32.6% of universities admission was automated. Automation of examination was found only in 25.2% of universities. In 55% or more sample universities, administration and finance activities were not automated. Faculty development for online teaching. Around 40% of the university faculty members of Indian universities have never undergone any professional training to deal with online teaching learning. More than 75% of universities wanted to have training for their faculty for capacity building. Next slide. Yeah. Online content development. Faculty members were not fully prepared for independent creation of online courses. A quarter of university did not have an online feedback system. More than half of the universities are not fully functioning with LMS, including 20.3% sample universities having no LMS facility at all, learning management facility at all. The challenges faced in imparting online education by university were: during online education, attention span of the student reduces with various reasons, so learning was not so effective. As India is a large country, as I told earlier, some institutions have required infrastructure for imparting online education, whereas some low-income private and government institutions did not have. While some universities had good online systems, smaller universities struggled under the weight of demand of electricity, connectivity, etc. So many problems were there, both in rural as well as urban areas. In value-added services, there is an item on value-added services. More than half of the universities are not providing fully online value-added services like internship or project. Approximately 18% of students were engaging less than 70% of students. This is the outcome. Yeah, next slide. The impact of COVID-19 on higher education delivery and quality. A quarter of universities see the feasibility in continuous assessment throughout the year, public semester in COVID pandemic. More than half of the universities wanted to conduct online examinations after the COVID. So they were not ready initially to conduct the examination, but later on, of course, they have conducted. Status of private versus government institutions. Only around 22% of government universities and 45.5% of private universities are fully equipped with smart classrooms. The status of a private university is found to be relatively better in this regard. Next slide. Yeah, these are the findings of the colleges. The colleges also, the findings were almost similar. 60.2% of colleges either have less than half or no smart classrooms. Regarding faculty development, in 32.2% institutions, 50% or fewer faculty have undergone training program. In online content development, around 32% institutions have half or less faculty capable of independent creation of online courses. Next slide, please. Yeah, infrastructure. Yeah, learning management system in 70.5% of colleges, LMS is either partially used or not. The challenges faced in imparting online education by universities teachers, it's almost same. In 13% of institutions survey, 50% or fewer faculty could teach effectively through online media. And impact of COVID on higher education delivery, it's almost same. In the pandemic situation, most of the colleges preferred assessment based on past performance or continuous assessment through year or semester. They were not actually ready to conduct examination. They were not confident enough to conduct examination. That was one issue which we could find out in this. Next slide. Yeah, conclusions of the study. In the present scenario, when all the higher education institutions are not prepared for online education, attitudinally as well as technologically, the blended and hybrid models appear to be the preferred choice for educational institutions for delivery. In fact, Dr. Sharat Chandra Babu also said this in his presentation, that we are not fully prepared for full online education. So at this point, the blended education is preferred both by the universities and all higher education. Majority of faculty members of Indian universities need to undergo professional training to deal with online teaching learning. The issue of bandwidth of internet connection continues to hinder the full implementation of online education. And approximately 1/5 of the sample universities have no element. Majority of students require training and orientation. Yeah, the existing e-learning platforms such as Swayam, Diksha, etc. should be extended to provide teachers with a structured, user-friendly, rich set of assistive tools for monitoring and progress of. The survey data demonstrated that public sector institutions are not very different from private sector institutions in terms of respondents' opinion about their readiness to online education. So both public and private institutions almost stand at the same level as far as opinions are considered. However, the private systems were more equipped to conduct online education. There are many good private universities in the country which have really done wonders in the field of online education. So we have some islands of excellence among the mediocre universities which could not really do well in the field of online. So next slide. Yeah, recommendations of this study. The government should draft new flexible guidelines for approval, affiliation, and regular evaluation of online courses. The central government should ensure a steady flow of funds through budgetary provisions for equitable spread of online education. Studies may be undertaken at central level to explore new ways of assessment and examination using educational technology, focusing on 21st century. That was the lean area which our countries and institutions like CDAC should work on. Digital and infrastructural support should be ensured, especially in state universities. Yeah. State universities which cater to 94% of students in the country really do not have good infrastructure. So they should be strengthened. Actually, online education is one field where we all have to come at same level playing field. Otherwise, the exercise will be futile. If some institutions will provide good online learning and some institutions will not provide, then the students will be. We will be creating one more divide among the students. Digital and infrastructural support should be ensured, especially in the state universities. Lifelong learning must be encouraged by apex bodies online. So I will thank all of you with this. I'd rushed through my presentation I was asked to rush through because we are short of time. Thank you so much. Can you display the last slide, Dr. Kumar? Yeah, thank you. And I once again thank the organizers to have provided me with this opportunity. Hope I could make my point clear to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for sharing your views on preparedness of Indian universities for online education, and also sharing the initiatives of Association of Indian Universities and the research findings that you have undertaken. Thank you very much, madam.